Hi everyone. Today I wanted to talk about one of my favorite record albums in my collection, and it's also my favorite Runaways album. The Runaways was the band that Joan Jett and Sandy West founded in the mid-70s, and they made only four albums, official records, studio records. And when I went to make this video, I thought, maybe I could make just a video where I just talk about the four albums all together. But then I thought, no, I'm going to focus just one video on this album. It's the final album that they made. It's called And Now The Runaways. And in a lot of ways, this is considered by many fans to be the least of their work, and I actually like it the best. It's my favorite album of theirs. It's close to Waiting for the Night. I think Waiting for the Night might be close up there for favorite too. One of the things that I liked about this the best was this was during a period after Cherie Currie left the band, and the last two albums I kind of like best because I'm a big Joan Jett fan, and Joan Jett does the vocals for the most part and took over a lot of it. And not that really I don't like some of the songs that Cherie Currie did with the Runaways, but I much prefer Joan. So her vocal style and performances and energy are what really appealed to me with the Runaways. I was just listening to this in the car recently on a CD version that I have, and it really was a lot of fun and powerful to me. I think a lot of people might, this is just my idea, look at this album the same way Led Zeppelin fans kind of look down a little bit on In Through the Outdoor, which is Zeppelin's real last kind of official studio album. It's kind of like, some people think that this is Runaways light, a little more slightly less edgy, a little more commercially appealing. I don't know, that's what I've heard anyway. Maybe that's why I like it so much. And even on the cover, you can see it's a lighthearted approach. Gone are the real rebels and their black leather hanging out by the barbed wire fence and things like that. It's kind of a tongue-in-cheek cover, and in addition to Cherie Currie leaving the band, you had here, of course, Joan Jett, and then you have Lita Ford, who was lead guitarist, and then you have Sandy West, the drummer, and then you have Vicki Blue. Now, what's interesting is, even though Vicki Blue, playing bass, figures here on the artwork, she's not on the album. She actually left the band, and all the bass duties are performed by Lita Ford. So Lita Ford plays lead guitar and bass on here, and she does a great job as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I think that Lita Ford is a fantastic lead guitarist. And Sandy West as the drummer, there she is, who's deceased. She died of cancer several years ago at 47. I think she does a great drumming on this album in particular, is amongst her best work. And it's funny, I was recently watching a DVD of a documentary film, which Vicki Blue here actually is the one who made the documentary, and it's called Edge Play, and there's a kind of late interview in life with Sandy West, and I think on there she says she thinks that her drumming is the best it's ever been on this album, if I remember correctly. It's just really powerful. The drums are really brought up. Anyway, what can I say? As I say, because Joan Jett is so prominent on here, it really makes the album appealing to me. This copy that I have is on Mercury. It was recorded in 1978 and originally in the UK on Cherry Red Records. This one that I have here is Mercury. I'm not really sure what the deal is with this. I haven't pursued it. It doesn't say on here where it's from. It might be the Netherlands. I don't know where this is from, but it's not the Cherry Red version of it. And of course, in the early 80s, when Joan Jett became really popular on her own and had a career with the Blackhearts and did I Love Rock and Roll, as we struggled to get the record back in here on camera. Screw it, leave the fucking thing outside. Anyway, it fits a Runaways video, right? That's why I'm leaving it in. Okay, in early 1980s, a lot of knockoffs by Rhino Records came out. With this album seemed to get reissued a lot, and it was on a picture disc like this. This material came out. This is called Little Lost Girls. There's all kinds of hybrids, variations of this material that can be found, you know, on different kind of albums. It goes in a sleeve that has this on the back. And I know I haven't talked about the actual content of the album yet, so let's start doing that. It starts out with a track called Saturday Night Special, which I really enjoy. And I'm realizing now, again, I've done some homework on this album, but haven't looked to see every detail about every song, so I'm going to wing it here, okay, make that a little more off the cuff. Saturday Night Special is a good opener. It's a lot of fun. I like Joan Jett's vocals on it. The second song, it's kind of funny. It's a Beatles song, 8 Days a Week, the classic. And Joan Jett handled lead vocals on that too. And I gotta say, you know, it's surprising that I enjoy this version, because really, to be fair, Joan doesn't really sing it with much conviction. She kind of like sings it in a lackluster way. And I have to say that it's kind of a dirge in some ways, really slow and plodding. But you know, that works for me. I mean, I discovered this album in the early 80s when I was getting into Joan Jett. And I like so many other things, if you listen to music enough and get used to it, you become sometimes enjoying it. So I actually think it's an interesting, you know, kind of approach to that song. It's very, very downbeat and a totally different personality into that song. It's the only time that Joan Jett ever sang a Beatles song that I know of on record. And it's the closest thing to her doing a Beatles cover song. Third song is my favorite song on the album. It's a cover song. Not only is it my favorite song on this album, it's my favorite Runaways song. And there's a lot of Runaways songs I like, so it's really hard to say. I got a whole bunch. I could easily make a top 10 or 12. But the song is a cover version of Slade's classic Mama We're All Crazy Now. The energy in that song is fantastic. All the members are playing on every cylinder and then some. Joan's vocals are out of this world. She really is proves her rocking ability with this, and she earns her rock chops. And the guitar playing by Joan, crunchy rhythm guitar, and the great lead guitar, and the drumming again by Sandy West, just bringing the house down. Really, really powerful and thundering. I really love it. Side 1 closed. There's only 4 songs on side 1 with a Lita Ford song. The song is called I'm a Million. And I'm a Million is a song which she actually sings. And this is the only time that Lita Ford did vocals on a Runaway song. I mean, there's been Lita Ford songs on earlier albums, but Joan Jett sang them. One of them is a really great song called Fantasies that's on the album before this, Waiting for the Night. But Lita sings it in a real, like, creepy kind of, you know, uncomfortable sounding vocal style. And I think Lita Ford herself said that she likes the song, she likes the music, she likes the lyrics, but she doesn't like her performance on this record of it. Well, you know, a lot of times artists are their own worst critics, right? I really like it. It's really cool. Now, what I'm going to take a moment here to say is, before I forget about it, the Runaways were breaking up on this album, and it was really a troubled production. Kim Fowley used to have a hand in all the production, but he didn't have any input in this. Instead, John Alcock produced the record, and it's famous stories of how he supposedly didn't like Joan Jett, and he was trying to edge out Joan Jett and keep her out of it. And that's why Lita Ford gets to sing that song, I'm a Million. And also, when we get to side 2 now, it opens up with a Sandy West vocal. So it just seems like Joan was trying to get edged out of the band that she helped create. And that's a quote that Joan said at one point. She said, "Seems like I was getting edged out of a band that I helped form in the first place." The opening track on side 2 is called Right Now. And Sandy West has a really, I don't know what to say, really, on this particular performance, a light girly kind of voice on it. In later years, I guess smoking had taken its toll, and she's got a deeper, throaty voice. But on this one, she sounds almost like a pop girl. She sounds almost like Debbie Gibson or something on it. It's a cute little song right now. You know, nothing really great, but I enjoy it. It's a fun song. The second song is a song that Joan sings and she wrote, and it's called "Take Over." And it's a song where she was concerned about the Russians trying to take over the world. Apparently, it's a fear that she had by, I think, getting down certain weather patterns and using a weather machine. And, you know, some of the lyrics on this album, like a lot of Runaways songs, are kind of juvenile and, you know, teenager-ish and, you know, crude. And in a way, you can either scoff at it or you can think that's part of the appeal. I mean, like, one of the examples are... I know the Russians are behind this shit. No one's going to know it until it's too late. You know, and take over. They're taking over. How long till they get everyone? Take over. They're taking over. How can we be so dumb? You know, it's like something like your 12-year-old little sister could write. And, you know, no offense to Joan, I think it works for it. And, you know, in a way, that's the Runaways. They're supposed to be these young girls, in a way. Although by this time, you know, you're talking about they're like 20 years old, you know. I like "Take Over," I do, and she sings it pretty powerfully with conviction. Next song is also a Joan song. I think it's a good song, but it kind of comes along to me at a weird time on the album. The sequencing could be a little better on this, I think, in my opinion. Next song is "My Buddy and Me." And "My Buddy and Me," you know, is it a lesbian song? Probably. But it's about Joan wanting to be left alone with her buddy and her. And there's a lot of interesting lyrics in this. And again, we go from the juvenile side of it. You know, stuff like, let me think of a good example of it. "My buddy and me, we say it's do or die, we believe it. My buddy and me, we're made of good stuff, we won't take shit." You know, I mean, ordinarily I would really, like, you know, crack up incredibly at such a lyric, but yet somehow in the context of being the Runaways and these young girls, it kind of like fits it. You know, it's the street punk kind of stuff. My buddy and me want to be on our own, and that's final. You know, so it's basically that kind of sentiment that. Don't try to stick us with no mold, because we won't fit no matter what we're told. We want to be alone. We won't get down on our knees, and neither should you. So I really like that. Next song is "Little Lost Girls," a softer song, but yet Joan gives a powerful vocal. Not always. It's not like she's struggling sometimes to stay on key, to me anyway, but not to my ears. But I enjoy it. Now the last one here is "Black Leather," which I think was written by the Sex Pistols. Not to be confused with the despicable rap song called "Black Leather" that Joan does on her 1986 solo album, Good Music. This is a good song. It's a good version. A good way to really end the album on a high rockin' note. I might have started off aside with this. It's weird ending the album on that, but it works. Another hard rocking song, and Joan seems to go to that a lot of S&M kind of themes in her music, you know. So anyway, I really like the album. As I said, a lot of people put it down. The Runaways were falling apart, troubled production, a producer that was trying to push Joan Jett out of it. And you know, one of the difficulties in the band was that, if I understand it right, it was Joan Jett wanted to do more good old rock and roll, which is kind of what she would do in her solo career. But Lita Ford and Sandy West, they wanted to go in a more heavy metal direction. They wanted to, you know, Joan was more classic rock and roll, more glam rock, whereas the other ones wanted to go really heavy and hard. And I think Lita Ford did that in a solo career. Anyway, I really enjoy the album. It's my favorite of the four that they made. But right close behind it is "Waiting for the Night," which was their third album. If anyone wants to know, my third favorite album is their debut, The Runaways. And my least favorite album is probably the second one, called Queens of Noise. So that's my mini discussion review on this, and I hope you had some fun with it, everybody. Rock on.